And our next talker is Eric Brehault with a talk of a case for feminism in open source development.
My name is Eric Brehault. I'm a former Plone developer. I'm front-end developer now. I'm still involved in this community. I just love you guys. So I'm part of the board. I'm also running the GSOC program every year. So yeah, that's who I am. My talk is about feminism, a case for feminism in open source development. Before I start, I'm going to make a disclaimer. So this talk is classified wokeness level 5. So that's the maximum, right? It can be difficult. If you're a conservative or a kind of masculinist, it is probably better that you leave the room now. It's better you watch this talk at home, offline, in video. You make it by chunk of 5 minutes, for example, and you're gonna alternate with some relaxing beverage like verbena or chamomile, no caffeine, no alcohol. Well, I guess soya milk could be fine, but yeah, that's the right way to go. Believe me, it can be dangerous. Now, regarding the other kind of disease, the bright side in that this talk is totally sugar-free, no saturated fat. So if you have heart condition or if you are diabetic, it is totally safe. So I repeat, only the conservatives here are at risk, okay? So if you don't have a medical certificate saying explicitly that you can handle wokeness level 5, please leave now. Good? Okay, so I'm gonna start. So feminism and software. What's the deal? Why would we mix that? Because if we are talking about typings, we are talking about that, reducing memory consumption, or this kind of stuff is totally not gender related, like totally not. So why would I bring this topic? Well, my thinking started with an article called A Case for Feminism in Programming Language Design by Felienne Hermans. She's a brilliant scientist from the Amsterdam University. And, well, what has happened with women who are brilliant scientists? Eventually, they will do something interesting and a man will steal it for his own interest. So that's exactly what I did. And she's a specialist in programming language. She started her career working on spreadsheets. And yes, if you're asking, spreadsheets are Turing complete. So they could be considered as totally valid programming language. Yet, they are not accepted as such. And she is also known as the inventor of Heidi. I don't know if you've heard of this programming language. It's a multilingual programming language. It allows you, for example, to code in Arabic. So she has been always focusing on making programming easier to everyone. And she discovered that that was not aligned with the common values of the programming language community. That's why she started wondering and wrote this article. And the thing is, programming is meant to be hard. But the interesting part here is that what is considered real programming and what is not based on objective criteria. That's totally fluid. It may vary over time. Like maybe you remember the time Python was considered a scripting language, like not that much a language. Or also from one community to another. If you are asking if JavaScript is a real programming language and you discuss about that with a C++ programmer, maybe you will have some opinion different than yours. So that's the first point. In Plone specifically, I would say we value a lot what is hard. Like sometimes I feel our motto could be, we do this not because it is easy, but because we thought it would be hard. So yes, we are a community of strong developers. We are proud about that. We value that a lot, strong developers. For those of you who remember Plomino, this used to be a project I was running a long time ago. I developed that to make Plone programming easier to everyone. And well, nobody did ever criticize it openly to me, even Andreas. But my feeling was it was not considered very serious, right? Even myself, I was not super comfortable saying, yes, that's real Plone development, okay? And the problem is, when you define strong, like strong developer, you automatically define weak. And what it does produce, what's the result of that? Imposter syndrome. We know that, right? What I want to say there is that our values, our point of view, or the definition of what is good, what is not, what is worse, what is not, what is acceptable, all of that is a social construct. And it comes, so if it's a social construct, it comes from the group. Okay, we're a group. All right, so let's see what this group is made of. Well, a large majority of software developers are men. I mean, you can look there. It's just a fact, right? And in all the different companies I've been working at, it was the case, right? I guess that's the same for you. So, yes, men. So you might wonder, okay, does it have any kind of impact? Wrong question. It does have an impact, of course, because software industry is mostly about knowledge. And it has been proven that knowledge is always shaped by the context in which it is made. So we can assume that software globally is deeply shaped by masculinity. All right. Now let's see, is there anything wrong with masculinity? So men are responsible for 84% of fatal road accidents. That's just another fact. That's a number from France, the country I live in. I guess it's probably similar in all the countries, right? Similar countries probably should have the same rate there. Okay, I know it is not related with software development, but we should ask, is it isolated? Is it just restricted to driving? Or can we imagine it's more global? Okay, well, it seems like a pattern, right? And yes, I know that is still not related to software development. But just a side question there. Are we sure we want those kind of people to run our community and our software, our open source software? Just asking, right? Oh, did I miss one? No. So I'm not saying that you specifically are violent, okay? I'm saying it is a system. And we grew up in this system, right? And we've been taught to think and behave in a certain way, all right? And we've been authorized to many abusive things. So you might put the blame on nature. Like, yes, I'm violent and dominant, but it's testosterone in me that make me this way. Ooh, poor me. First of all, that's no excuse. Because if you were controlled by your body, you would be peeing in your pants 5 times a day. Okay? Second, it's not true. There is no scientific proof that testosterone induces violence. Okay? I will not extend on that, but there are proof. And regarding the other theory about that brains of men and brains of women are working differently, structured differently, this is actually a reversal of causality. Yeah. Whoever you are, you get a brain working as a man brain if you are raised and if you behave as a man according to society, and the same goes for women brains, obviously. Another attempt to justify male domination is pointing prehistoric times, like this time where society was not existing yet, and men were natural hunters while women were taking care of the home. First of all, at the time society did not exist, human species was not existing neither, because Homo sapiens, when it appears, Homo sapiens, we were already a society. Second, a lot of evidence demonstrates that women are participating in hunting. Okay. All the cliché we have, actually, about prehistory have been developed by European men during the 19th century, which was an extremely conservative period regarding role genders. And anthropologists also observe that in the long term, patriarchy was the main model in many periods and many places, but it was not always a thing. And it is a possibility that women have been the one bringing the biggest innovation in major domains. And for example, ceramics, medicine, agriculture, politics. So side question again here, wouldn't it be interesting to let women participate more in an industry relying entirely on innovation? So Mara Viveros Vigoya, she's a Colombian anthropologist, and she say one is not masculine per se, but because one adopts certain ways of being and acting associated with domination and power. So why I'm talking about that, my takeaway here is, yes, that's a social construct. Being a man is like playing a role, okay? Something you learn by imitating what you see around you from a very young age. And that's what sociologists call enculturation, a phenomenon that's been described by Margaret Mead. Enculturation is a process by which people learn the dynamics of their surrounding and acquire values and norms that are appropriate to that culture, okay? And it starts from young age, obviously, and it continues along the entire life. And it applies to gender definition. It applies about the associated behavior we have with genders, and actually it applies to everything in our social norms, okay? Now think about it regarding the Plone community. Is there anything that happened when someone new joins our community? Is there any kind of enculturation we are probably practicing there? I guess yes, probably. And yet it's not easy to identify. We'll come to that later. And this phenomenon of enculturation, it affects everyone, men and women, okay? And it affects how we decide if something is acceptable or not. So the main reason why men act as men is because they can. Society accepts it from men. The same behavior executed by a woman will be rejected. And that's what is actually patriarchy. The good news is that if it is a social construct, then we can change it. Okay, it's not natural. The bad news is that it seems deeply ingrained in our culture. So how do we fix it? And the main barrier here is the difficulty to identify patriarchy because it's normal. So you know normal, I guess. You know normal. For example, I'm normal, right? But she is a woman developer. I'm normal, and she is autistic, for example. I'm normal, and he is black. I'm normal, and they are poor, okay? Being normal is the expression of your domination, and at the same time, it blinds you to your dominant position. And Christine Delphi, who is a sociologist, explains that differences are not just differences. They are hierarchies. So the society will use these differences to justify its unequal treatment of groups of individuals. We are always reminded about differences regarding women or gay people or racialized people, but it's never reciprocal. They are different. But men, white and heterosexual, are not different from anyone else, right? On the contrary, they are just like everyone else. Well, I'm not saying here that we should only recruit women and fire all men. Not on that though. We hear a lot about involving more women in software industry. It's like everyone wants that. Like we want women in our dev team. We want women doing code. There is a lot of initiative for that. Well, it's not happening that fast, actually. And one reason maybe there is that having more women doing this kind of job automatically implies that more men will have to do jobs that are actually occupied now by women, like jobs in the care domain, for example. And I never heard a lot of people supporting the fact that we should have more men in care domain. There's not, but still, the question is what we should do. And the answer might be feminism. We are always looking at the world through a lens, okay? And even if we're not aware of the lens we use, there is one. And we evolve in industry shaped by masculinity and patriarchy, and we cannot even see that, right? So I was talking about that earlier. So it's okay-ish, probably most part of the time, until it turns out toxic. But using a different lens will give you a lot of insight, and that's what feminism can be, a new lens for us. So, feminism is for everybody. That's a famous assertion from Bell Hooks, who is a well-known feminist. That's also what Monique Wittig explained. So Monique Wittig is a feminist and a lesbian icon nowadays. She was an absolutely brilliant thinker and scholar. I'm not saying so because she was French. Actually, we French are a bit obsessed with universalism, and feminism seems to be kind of anti-universalist somehow. And she sorted it on a very nice way. Wittig, as a lesbian and as a materialist feminist, had a lot of conflict with other branches of feminism movement in the 70s, and she actually had to move to America, into the US, to continue her career. What she says is that the thinking of a minority is actually universal. It is not a matter of focusing on specific cases, but rather of changing perspective to see the whole picture. So that's where it's interesting. That's why feminism is for everybody. And feminism is about questioning all the things we are never questioning. It breaks normal, basically. That's exactly what it does. And it reveals the true nature of our system of thought. And then we can start acting on it. That's where it's good. So what is valued, what is not, what is considered as a good objective, what is not, which behavior is welcome, which is not, all of that you can review. So coming back to programming languages and to Felian Hermans, here is what she says: feminism helped me to understand that what academic communities value is a social system in which some people's values are more represented than others. And that's the reason why people usually think that programming languages are meant to be hard, because it fits their values. So, let's put my feminist glasses and take a look to myself. No? Sorry, I forgot to display the... So yeah, myself first, I should start with that. So how do I work? What kind of developer I am? Well, let me tell you. Quite often, for example, when I see a feature which looks interesting and quite fast to implement, well, I just go for it. I implement it, and then I'm going to show it to you, or my colleagues, or whoever, saying, hey, see, what do you think about this whatever feature? Yeah, it's already implemented. Because obviously there's nothing more convincing than a feature already implemented. That's probably something I got from my open source experience. You know, the duocracy principle. Duocracy sounds like democracy, but it's actually nearly the opposite. So I know, the thing is, I know I'm a good developer. I know I can do this thing. So I just do it. No need to discuss, right? That's the way I act. And the code I do is going to be the best justification for my decision. And usually that's fine, right? I mean, it may backfire from time to time, but not much. And in any case, it is always easy to revert or whatever. So why should I bother? Maybe you consider that fine too, but actually maybe you think, yeah, Eric is creative. Eric takes initiative. He's proactive. He moves forward. Okay, yeah. But would you think the same if I had this same behavior when driving my car? Well, maybe you would thinking it's probably violent, reckless, it's dangerous, at least it's disrespectful. So in software development context, maybe it does not look that bad. But still, it is a very manly attitude I have there, right? And I do it because I evolve in a cultural environment where I feel authorized. That's the reason why I do it. Same thing, presenting myself as an expert when I'm not. I do that. I mean, see how easily I just said, hey, I'm a good developer. I just said. I do that easily, right? So, okay, you might think, yeah, that's self-confidence. What's wrong with that? well, maybe you should consider that self-confidence is not equally distributed. And probably I got a huge, huge share because I've been told I deserve it, okay, as a man. So I'm not saying, I'm so toxic, I'm a monster, please emasculate me, this is a sharp knife, let me have some paracetamol before. But just maybe we should all start questioning our own practices, our habits. Are we ready to no longer be men, but simply human beings, like everyone else, who are not superior because of their gender? Are we ready to abolish distinction between what we consider being specifically masculine or feminine? If we do that, then we'll be able to consider combativeness and solidarity or autonomy and mutual aid as human values rather than specifically masculine or feminine ones. So my conclusion is just consider that we are just men and a man is a woman like any other. So let's start trying being the best women we can be. And before I finish, just let me say that I am aware I might not be the best person to talk about feminism because I'm a man. So probably my point of view here is not the most interesting one. But I thought it was an important message to convey. And in fact, one of my female colleagues told me that if that was a woman speaking for this talk, maybe men would not listen to her as attentively as if that was me. So that's extremely sad, but that's probably true as well. And also I haven't insisted much on other aspects of the lack of diversity, like we are not just majority of men, but also majority of Europeans or white people. And ethnocentrism, for example, is definitely a problem, and I do want to minimize this and other diversity issue we are facing in software. So here are some of the readings that I used to build this talk. Much more brilliant people than I am. I hope I haven't distorted their work too much. And that's it. Thank you.
Now do we have questions here?
Sorry, does it work?
It does. Press the button there. Okay.
And now? Okay. Do you have an opinion about the phenomenon that just in the middle to the end of 20th century, the profession of software developer were basically considered as a kind of women's job? If you look at photos, for example, for like space program, all the developers were women. If you go into like computational center with these huge computers, majority there will be women. But when I was studying in the university in 2000s, we had less than 5% of young ladies in our group. When I'm working now on different projects and different companies, at best we had one female developer in a team. So why has it changed? How do you think?
So yes, there have been some studies about that, and it's a fact that yes, women used to do the dirty job, right? The stuff that are not works for men. So they were doing the computation manually, and then when we started having computers, they moved to the next thing, right? To computers. So that's why initially they were there, and when we realized as a society that it was a powerful job, a powerful situation, mechanically, the male domination made it a man job. And that's how it went, basically. And there are studies about that. And it's true that it's also demonstrating very much that the criteria to say this is for female or male is totally not based on strong criteria. It's just our view of the society, how we should be, who should do what. And it evolves over time. That's why it's encouraging as well, because it may evolve. It does not evolve in a way that male domination is lowering, but it evolves on what we apply as a feminine value or feminine job. That's the thing, yeah.
Hey, Eric. Thank you. It was wonderful. I would like to jump on two things. First is the word normal, because I recently read a lot of books with my daughter. She almost have 3, and there is a book about differences, and basically normal doesn't mean anything for kids, because it's a word, just a word. And the conclusion of the book is normal is boring. I think the world is beautiful when there is differences. And the other thing I would like to say is there is a quote, I don't know from who, about differences as well, is comparison is the end of happiness. And basically when we start with those kind of things, we push the wrong button and we go in the wrong direction. So, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Let's give an applause for Eric.
Thank you.